Welcome to First and 15, the only podcast that's trying to get you paid. I'm here with two-time FFPC champion AB. Alongside him is my guy, Dio the Machine. Guys, I want to talk about this Nick Chubb injury. Not so much about Nick Chubb, but about how much guys spent for Jerome Ford, if he was available in your league. Listen, how do you guys think that that's going to work out now that Kareem Hunt is on that team? He has familiarity with the offense, with that organization. Do you guys think that people should have slowed down a little bit on the Jerome Ford fab?
No, not necessarily. So I think like you really got to put this in context. I think people like talk about this as like either like you are in on Jerome Ford or you were completely out on him and you're worried about Hunt. I don't think that it's like that at all. Mm-hmm. So to put it in context, if you go back to just last year, when everybody was saying Kareem Hunt was done, when all the reports were coming out that Cleveland thought Kareem Hunt had like lost it, just last year, Kareem Hunt was still seeing significant snaps alongside who a lot of us believe is probably one of the best running backs in the league when healthy, Nick Chubb, or at least was. You know, we'll see what happens after this next injury. So Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the league, was still succeeding carries and touches and snaps to Kareem Hunt. Okay. And we saw Jerome Ford, we saw the same thing this year, a little bit with Jerome Ford, less so on third down, less so in the passing game. So Jerome Ford is not Nick Chubb, but that does not mean that you shouldn't break the bank for him. He was only available in like one FFPC league. I actually had him in two of my home leagues. And then in another home league, I went 85%, lost him. In an FFPC league, I went 90% and won him. And then I went 85% in another league and lost him.
When you say 90%,
you went 90% on Ford, bro?
You meant like $900 on Jerome Ford?
Yeah, like $900. So, and again, you got to put it in context. So this was a team that was like, I think like has a lot of potential. Thus far, very excellent on the team. And this was a zero RB build. So for me, on a zero RB build, yeah, I'm drafting a couple of running backs.
I'm sorry. I tend to do this. Let's go back to Abby with this Jerome Ford stuff, right? Yeah. So, number one, you're going to have to shop at the dollar store for the rest of the season.
I'm good with that.
You're good with that. Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be totally making this up, but I believe Jerome Ford had an injury last season, or he missed a fair amount of time. And if that's true, I think it's probably a good idea to maybe consider contingency plans, because what if he gets hurt? Like, what is the next? What's that next step? What's that stay ready type move you would be making? Are you looking at Pierre Strong, or are you looking at another back on that backfield that's going to be the everyday? Or do you think it's just going to be Kareem Hunt and bust? What's the plan up there? Because I wouldn't depend on having Jerome Ford for the full season yet. We haven't seen him do it.
Yeah.
It's only his second season. He wasn't getting that many snaps week one before the injury, right? So we really don't know what we have there. So,
yeah, I don't know. I kind of disagree with that. I think number one, and we say this all the time. At least I say it, especially in the off season. No matter who I draft, where I draft them, I pretty much have it in my head that they are going to miss games. So I'm not expecting anybody. I don't care who you are, who your name is. We said this last year, and I made it a point to say this last year with Jonathan Taylor. I'm like, you're not injury prone until you get injured,
right.
And vice versa. So nobody on my team do I anticipate that they are playing 100% of the games. I just have built in, and I built my teams as such. So kind of going back to your contingency plan, obviously spending a lot of money. So likely probably what will happen is I'll probably end up at some point once he gets dropped, because I think he got picked up in this league as well, is I'll look at picking up Pierre Strong for $1.
Okay.
And I'll look at I'll just make sure that I have a couple guys that I'm looking a couple of weeks ahead of the dollar. We haven't, this is the beautiful thing yet. And this is why I spent the money now. we have not hit the bye weeks just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Y'all know when bye weeks come, it's like Christmas on the waiver wire.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, So, and then sometimes you want to have ammo left over to be able to pick up because there's going to be some nice guys and everybody's going to be going after. But a lot of the guys that usually get dropped are like the backup quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting to pick up quite a few backup quarterbacks for just for like some teams because for the most part I usually keep 2 quarterbacks on my team unless I have Hurts, Allen, or Mahomes. And all those guys have later buys, so I don't have to worry about it now. But later in the season, I'll consider it because I do want to make sure that I'm rolling into the playoffs or wherever I'm going to be.
Well, I guess I'm more so asking for that $900 bid team because with you only having $100, and I'm sure you have less than $100.
Yeah, it's less than 100. So it'll basically be like, okay, and I think I have like 6 strong wide receivers on this team. So ideally, those are my 4 starters.
So 2 wide receivers and a bunch of running backs would sound like dollar bids like crazy.
Exactly. So like Keontae Ingram was dropped this week, so if he ends up looking like he's a starter, and I may go him
because they wanted Mari DeMarcado.
Yeah, exactly. DeMarcado, we start to see him get a little bit more burn. That's the easy dollar ad, Dotson this last week was an easy dollar ad because you never know, like you said, you never know what's going to happen. Even like the third string guys become relevant at some point once injuries happen. So, we'll go for those dollar bids. It'll just be there, and regardless, just like it was with Jerome Ford. It's all a look at the draw, It's all a look at the draw.
So going back to Deshaun Watson, because my thing is somebody dead, right? Or are they a bust, right?
Oh man, what happened? Did he?
Yeah,
he left.
I think battery probably ran out. Let me speak on Deshaun Watson. I don't think he's necessarily just dead.
Mm-hmm. He's back.
You had to have you back.
All right. I guess they didn't like what I was saying.
Yeah.
But am I still? Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was gonna ask, what is your thoughts on the receivers, specifically like Elijah Moore? Because Elijah Moore was a guy we were kind of big on this draft season, and I have a few bags, and I'm a little concerned at the moment.
Yeah, I think the Nick Chubb injury definitely opens up the door for them a little bit. I'm not in the camp of that Deshaun Watson needs to prove it this week. I see enough there. Definitely, he looks extremely rusty, and he's never been this inaccurate. Like I've never seen him this inaccurate. Like most of his throws are like short, just like off target. And I think once he gets a little bit more comfortable, because right now he just does not look comfortable. I think once he gets a little bit more comfortable, those throws will be there.
Well, remember with the Texans, okay, so he had D-Hop, who has a ridiculous catch radius.
Yeah.
Just throw it anywhere around him, he'll catch the ball. But a lot of his successful throws were those deep passes, like those Will Fuller post
Exactly.
routes.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm getting to that point.
Routes,
And I'm getting to that point because I feel like that's something that they could hit on as well. I am in 100% agreement with you. Like, we need to see a little bit more play action pass. We need to see a little bit more motion on the receivers, moving around the formation. We need to see a little bit more creativity. And that kind of goes back to, like, okay, that's what this quarter is. And, like, if it's not working, at some point I feel like, offensive coordinators, and they got Stefanski as the head coach, they will adjust. And so sometimes you just got to be patient. But to me, like I said it before, I was like, Watson to me is a rhythm quarterback. Right now, he is out of sync and out of rhythm. But once he does get in the rhythm, I think the offense is going to hit. I pretty much, Amari Cooper is not what DeAndre Hopkins was, but he's pretty damn close. Mm-hmm. He's pretty damn close. And I've been very impressed with what I've seen with Amari Cooper. So to me, he's a pretty good number one. I think Elijah Moore is getting there. I'd like to see the DPJ be a little bit more involved, but even Godwin. He missed Godwin on a deep throw this past game.
I noticed that stuck out to me because that's the type of throw he's in the past been very successful.
So and then you got Njoku. You got a nice solid tight end. Harrison Bryant didn't do him any favors. So I just think the offense as a whole is a little out of sync. But I'm gonna give it a little bit more time.
But what about his lack of running the ball? Is that not a concern?
You said what? Say that again.
Lack of running.
I think the 2 games before, or the game before he ran, I think he had like 40 yards on the ground and actually had a rushing TD. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they kind of had a game plan of keeping him in the pocket, and I think division game. We'll see what he does against the Titans. The Titans, I don't think he'll be able to run. I think he's going to have to be able to win from the pocket. He's going to have to trust his receivers, and his receivers are going to have to play a little bit better than they played last year as far as coming down with some of these catches. You
still good with Elijah Moore right now? Like, you still?
Yeah, I'm not starting him in most leagues, but I'm definitely not dropping him. And I'm speaking more for like home leagues. There needs to be something like really nice on the waiver because to me he's still the number 2 in that offense. And what we haven't seen is what his role is going to be without a Nicholas Chubb, because obviously Nicholas Chubb got hurt in the game, so that's they had a game plan set for that game. Now there is no Nicholas Chubb. And now they're going up against a tough Tennessee Titans run defense, and we talked about their schedule coming forward. So they may need Elijah Moore a little bit more in more ways than just simply running traditional wide receiver routes. They talked about him lining up in the backfield and things like that. So we could potentially see a lot of design touches going his way. So I think now is not the time to bail on Elijah Moore.
Bro, who says Nicholas Chubb?
Who says Nicholas Chubb?
Man just suffered like a.
I was thinking like Nicholas Chubb.
He just suffered a season-ending injury. I'm putting respect on his name, okay?
Nicholas
Henry Chubb
III.
Nicholas Henry Chubb III. Man,
that's like when people call me Christopher. It's like, hey, man.
Is that disrespectful? I feel like that's
Oh, man.
Guys, let's talk about Madison, the Vikings, and incoming running back Cam Akers. Guys, how do you feel about starting Madison now that Cam is there? I know that we had some conversations about whether we should drop Cam Akers, I think, on one of our teams, and we ultimately decided to stick with him. How do you guys feel about Madison, and how do you guys feel about Cam Akers now on that Vikings team? But do you think he's going to take that job?
So there's the acute phase and the chronic phase. I'm bringing a little bit of medical terminology.
Yeah,
so,
Lord.
in the acute phase, I mean, especially this week, I actually think Madison is going to go off.
Me too.
And that's going to kind of confuse things a little bit. In the chronic and long-term phase, I don't know. I mean, I think, and I don't think that they know, but I think that they do realize that, hey, like, we are dying. We're 0-2. We're struggling. We got a bad defense. Yeah. And we just need somebody back there. I don't know what Akers has left in the tank. Last year was last year. I'm not sure how much of last year I believe. I felt like they were showcasing them at the end of last year. And what we saw this year was really nothing all that special. So not that Alexander Mattison is special, but I don't know how much better Cam Akers is at this stage in his career coming off the Achilles either. So this is going to be interesting. I got this crazy, thought in the back of my mind that come week 15, 16, 17, it's going to be a bunch of Dwayne McBride, leading the touches on a Minnesota Vikings team that has been knocked out of the playoffs. So, I don't really want any of these guys in the long run, but I think right now, for the next game or two, I'll probably be starting Madison this week.
I mean, it's a low risk move by the Vikings, right? All they did was swap 2024-6, I think.
Yep.
Like swap them. So in reality, that was just the Rams basically saying, just go away, Cam. Like, whatever. We'll take anything. Like, pick swap, whatever. We'll take it, right? Me personally, so I don't have much Alexander Mattison because I've never really been a believer of him talent-wise, and this goes back a couple of years now. But we've always kind of been looking at who could potentially replace Madison, right? That's why McBride was being drafted so much in draft season. That's why Ty Chandler started being drafted so much, because the most of the community kind of was like waiting for that shoe to drop at some point. We didn't think it was going to happen immediately, but honestly, the way it's playing out, it's actually playing out sooner than what I expected, right? Cam Akers wasn't even in the picture for a while. We're in week 2, and they already brought in a guy that's a valuable replacement. I'm not going to say he's a automatic replacement, but if Cam Akers is starting by week 5, is it going to surprise either y'all with a healthy Madison? No, right? So even if Cam is not the guy, it just kind of shows me that they might not have full faith that he can be their workhorse back.
But they said they did.
Yeah, they say a lot, right? They always say things, right? But as an owner, I would be concerned. And I would be trying to, like you said, pick up those ancillary pieces there. Because, I mean, we've seen Cam Akers. He doesn't look explosive anymore. So even if he does get an opportunity, I can't even say he's going to be the one to hold down the opportunity for the full season. So like you're saying, there might be a point later in the season, especially if they're out of the running. Even if they're in the running, they might just say, let's give another guy a shot. And if that guy takes that shot and looks good, Ty Chandler's not dead, by the way. He's the longest, or not the longest tenure, but the second longest tenure guy there. If they take a guy and he looks good, that guy can run away with that job. And even going back to the training camp, we heard that they had running backs visiting them. So it's almost like they've been looking for a guy for a while to kind of take that workload. And then, recency bias, we can look back at this last game that the Vikings had, and Madison was horrible. I mean, I know he had those racial DMs sent to him, and that was a big deal, and a lot of people were coming out and supporting him and all that stuff. But you can see even the fans are getting aggravated with him. And, once the fans start becoming aggravated and loud enough, eventually the team starts making moves. So I'll be concerned. Now, who are the Vikings playing this week?
The Chargers.
The Chargers, okay. Yeah, that's right.
So, like you said, he has a good opportunity to prove that he is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked y'all, if he doesn't show out well, like, where are we at then? Like,
that's it.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. Like, this is that matchup, and it's a double-edged sword because it's not just a good matchup for him. It's also a good matchup for Ty Chandler. Yeah. It's also a good matchup for Akers. So, like, if in the back of their mind, they're like basically like nothing's really been working, and then whatever back is out on the field breaks off a 15-yarder, the first thing that they're going to do is not take him off the field. They're probably going to continue to run with him. And if he has 2 or 3 good runs, then they may just let him go off during the game. So Alexander Madison really needs to show out early and not open the door or leave the door open for some of his backups.
Yeah, I agree.
So Cam is out the door now. Kyren Williams seems to be the guy now with the Rams.
Oh, got Kyren, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Every time I feel good about that. I'm like,
I feel good about that one too. I do.
Yeah.
But who's behind Kyren though? Because again, if we use that same logic, we haven't seen him carry the load either. So who are we thinking that's right behind Kyren? Like, are you guys thinking about who's behind him, or just riding him until the wheels fall off?
So, I'm in a lot of dynasty leagues, right? In dynasty leagues, you tend to see these moves early because everybody, you have larger rosters. Everybody's trying to take these guys that can eventually become a guy. You can hold guys for longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I usually use my dynasty leagues to kind of gauge what people are thinking. So at the moment, and we can go back to this last game, the back that was active with Kyren was Ronnie Rivers, right? Who's a super jag, like one of those king jags, right?
Yeah.
He lives on Jag Island and shit. Jag Island with the other jags, right? Like, but they also drafted Zach Evans in I want to say the 6th round.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say he went to SMU or Ole Miss. I mean, he changed schools like 4 times.
Yeah.
TCU, Ole Miss, SMU. He went to all those schools. And I know him. I know him well because he's a local kid. He went to North Shore High School, one of the best running backs in the city.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he killed national championship, everything. Like, highly recruited guy. But if you look at his story, and not to go on a tangent too far, but if you look at his backstory from back when he was coming out of school, he had a lot of controversy when he was going to college. He committed to one school, he backed out, he got in trouble. All these little, you can literally Google him and see all the little controversy he was dealing with. And he had a reputation of being a knucklehead, right?
Okay.
And I think all those reasons what dropped his draft stock because he's a talented guy. I don't know how much of the receiving game he has, but he's a great pure runner, good size and everything. But with that being said, the fact that they made him inactive this last game and instead used Rivers made me concerned about his role on the team.
Yeah.
Right? It's like what is Ronnie Rivers doing or showing them that makes them feel like he's a better option than Evans, regardless of his knucklehead status? So if that's where they're they are right now, I honestly think the next guy we should be so if you were to ask me right now, I'd say pick Ronnie Rivers as the guy, as the true handcuff to Kyron. But to be honest with you, number one, it's almost like Breida. I'm not going to feel happy about it. It's going to be like, I'm not excited about this. And I really think if something happened with Kyron, they'd probably bring somebody in. Yeah. Don't forget, last year, every time the Rams lost a guy, they would sign somebody from another, like off the street. So they would trade for somebody. And it's still the same regime. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do that same approach.
Yeah, man.
If Kyron was to go down,
There's still a lot of running backs that's still out there, too. So
yeah. I don't believe the handcuff is on the team right now.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so that's I didn't really go after any of them. I think I kind of, I'm definitely in agreement with Dale on that one. But who knows? Like, you never know. Like, this week will definitely be very, very telling. So I definitely think it's smart, to take a stab at someone and just kind of see who's active, who's getting the runs behind Kyron Williams. Because Kyron's a smaller back as well. I think he handled a lot of the load at Notre Dame, but, NFL's the NFL. And like we said, we don't really expect anybody to stay healthy for all 17
games. Okay, and don't forget, he got hurt last year.
Yeah. Literally the first game, first quarter. I think even the first play. It may have been on the kickoff.
And I think that's a problem. I think that's a blind spot for a lot of fantasy players. We forget that these guys can get hurt any moment, and it literally changed the whole landscape. And that's why I'm always laughing when people have to draft. They draft these teams. They're like, "Oh, I got this team. This team is gonna go the distance. They're gonna win $1 million." As if injuries are not gonna happen. Injuries have never been turned off.
Yeah.
People are still like, Kyron Williams can get hurt this week and be done. And all of us excited about Kyron Williams.
Like you're playing Madden. We can't go into the settings and then turn off.
No, that motherfucker's on. That motherfucker's not just on; it's turned up.
It's on all Madden.
It's on Max. It's on 99.
Yes. You have to literally look at every player on your roster. Like, if this guy gets hurt, what do I do? Like, what is my next step? And you have to plan for that. I mean, that's really where the birth and the stay ready mantra came from.
Yeah.
Because these things happen, and when they happen, it's too late. Like, once it happens, it's too late to do anything about it. Yeah. Otherwise, you're going to be spending $900 in fads for the handcuff and shopping at the dollar store. You know what I'm saying? So,
man, I used to live at the dollar store. We good.
So, I feel like there's another running back there, too. I don't know if y'all know the other Rams running back.
I don't see him on the roster, but.
So, you just see 3 on the roster right now?
Yeah, so, basically, I mean, and this usually kind of comes out Saturday. Obviously, they elevate such and such, or they sign such and such to the practice squad. Yeah. That's really what I'm going to be paying attention to and listening to. The good thing about Saturday now is you got college football, so a lot of people are kind of paying attention to college football. Outside of my squad, I'm really just paying attention to NFL. So I try
quick question. Speaking of what you just said, so the Ravens signed Kenyon Drake to the practice squad. Mm-hmm. They still have Melvin Gordon on the practice squad.
Mm-hmm. I thought they elevated Melvin Gordon.
They elevated for the game, but he always reversed back after the game.
Oh, okay.
So he's back now. Justice Hill's hurt. He's probably not going to play this week.
Well, we don't know. Probably he may not.
Yeah, he might. I've heard he most likely is not. He hasn't practiced this week yet.
Okay.
Which leaves Gus Edwards most likely starter. Are y'all taking a stab at any of those other running backs that's between Gordon and Kenyon Drake, or are just not even touching that backfield?
I'm not touching.
He's Mitchell.
I have some Gus.
Mitchell's on.
Oh yeah,
on IR right
Mitchell.
Now.
Yeah, but he's gonna come off on.
Hey man, chill out. It's not time to talk about Mitchell on our show, okay? I haven't got enough of my Mitchells yet. It's still.
Oh man, you late? My bad.
There's still a few Mitchell shares out there that haven't quite accumulated yet.
My bad.
I do have a lot of Mitchell though, just a bit out there. But as far as right now, because Mitchell, he's not going to be available till week 5, and he might it might take him a week or two to get
He's going to be a slow burn. People will drop him. Nobody. It's hard. It's hard to hold, especially with the bye weeks. Bye weeks start week 5 anyway.
Yeah.
Week 4, I thought. Week 4, right?
Week 4 or 5? Week 5.
They start week 4. I don't know. So are y'all both just saying no to the other Ravens running backs, or y'all taking some stabs?
I mean, Drake surprised last year. He's the Drake. He's done well in this offense. It's just hard. You're going to have to guess. I think if they elevate Drake, he may not be a bad person to like take a stab at, because Gus Edwards has really kind of always been a zero in the passing game.
Exactly. That's kind of so.
Yeah, so I think that they would likely elevate, and he's familiar with. Well, actually, he's not really familiar with the system because this is a brand new system. So I don't know. We'll see. It'll really depend on who they elevate, but we should know that Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Short but sweet. That's all we got this week.
That's it.
All right.
That's it. Please like.
There's a lot on the table.
Wait.
A lot of meat on the bone.
Look at Mari DeMarcado for the Cardinals. He's starting to get a little bit burned. I think he had more touches than Keontae Ingram last week.
Mm-hmm.
Abby just brought up Keaton Mitchell, so I guess we can't hide that much longer.
No.
Keaton Mitchell, we're waiting for him to come because me personally, I think he take over that backfield, totally take it over. Honestly, anybody else y'all could think of that talked about recently?
Daniel Bellinger, because Darren
Waller's a bum.
because he's a bum.
Isaiah Hodgins is dead to me.
But man, hey man, look, all the time's undefeated, man. All the time's undefeated.
Yeah.
Ooh, how about them Texans though? That passing offense. Hey, everybody jumping on a Nico and Tank Dell truck right now.
Tank Dell should not be on the waivers. Okay, he should not be on waiver wires.
Yeah,
we'll get that man.
Yeah. All right, guys. Please like, rate, subscribe. We're out.